Welcome to the broadcast. In just 10 years, Spike Lee has transformed himself from an unknown film student to one of the most well-known and outspoken filmmakers of our time. From She's Gotta Have It to the anxiously awaited Malcolm X, he has created controversy with each new movie while paving the way for a new generation of African-American filmmakers. Starting with his own production company, he's also created a corporate empire from his home base in Brooklyn. He recently launched a new record label, 40 Acres and a Mule Music Works, to create a greater awareness of the variety of black music. We're very pleased to have this distinguished filmmaker join us for an hour conversation about his life and also about his work. Welcome. It's about time.
I know you've been trying to get me on here, but we've been
now, what's
busy.
been the problem?
We've been editing Malcolm X.
Yeah. How is it any good?
It's a great movie.
A great movie?
Great movie. We told, before we started this film, we told anybody working on this film, cast and crew, they didn't think this film was going to be one of the most important films in the history of cinema, and they should stay home.
And what makes it one? Clearly the subject matter.
Right.
Makes it, if done well. But there are a lot of people who feel like that this making of this film is fraught with danger for you. Danger meaning everybody feels like is possessive about Malcolm. You know?
And his image.
And his image. And you are saying, I'm making Spike's vision. Albeit I've done my research and I've talked to people and I've interviewed people and I've read everything there is to read, and we know how obsessive you are about knowledge and information. But you must be a little bit scared.
No, I'm not scared. I mean, it's a big responsibility, but like my man Michael Jordan, in the last 5 minutes of the game, you know who's going to get the ball, and he's going to take that last shot, and I just have confidence in my ability and talent and the people that I'm surrounded with, who we all came together to make this film.
But mainly you've got a confidence in Spike Lee.
Yes, in my ability, and it is a great responsibility. But at the same time, you can't think about it. Yeah. I mean, I'm a sports fanatic, so I always use a lot of sports analogies, but when the game's on the line and you're on the free throw line and you're down by 1 point, you got 2 free throws, you can't think about it, you just have to. Yeah.
Now, did you have any doubt that when Michael was at the free throw line there in the last couple of minutes, he said, that he thought about it. He said, now's the time for me to, or else I'm going to look like a jerk.
He might have thought about it afterwards, but I mean, he has confidence. He knows what he's going to do, and the thing about it, everybody else knows what he's going to do, and they still can't stop him. So.
Yeah, but when the Bulls were here with the Knicks, I saw you there. You took a Concorde back from Cannes or wherever the world.
I made the trip twice back for going
to be there and watch the Bulls play the Knicks.
I was there for the Knicks, though. I've been a Knicks fan since 4th grade.
And so Michael's friendship, the affection you have for Michael, didn't overcome your love for the Knicks.
Of course not. I'm happy they won the championship, and I was, my seats are right in the front row, so I'm on Michael's butt, though. I'm riding him.
Were you talking to him?
Yeah, but, when he starts hitting those shots, he looks over to me and says, "Shut up, Spike." Or when he's jamming in Patrick's face, he gives me a look, and I have to shut up.
Yeah. The most remarkable athlete in organized sports.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
What is it about a Michael Jordan, you think? I'm coming back to Malcolm X, but what is it about Michael?
Well, he's done things with the basketball nobody else has ever done before. And I think that Michael, he's elevated himself to an artist. He's not just a basketball player. I mean, he's John Coltrane, Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald. I mean, he's on that level.
And should we accord him the same respect we do for Coltrane? That his genius?
I do. He's a genius.
He's a genius.
He's a genius.
Yeah, because sometimes we tend not to, because we say that's physical. That's a gift. That's a physical gift, that he can hang there longer than other people, rather than even the kind of genius you have. There's something about us that
I don't know about my genius. Michael Jordan is a genius.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't think there's any question that.
If you could change places with Michael Jordan and be Michael Jordan rather than Spike Lee.
I would not like to be like Mike.
Why not? Be like Mike, be like Mike, be like Mike.
The lifespan of an athlete is very short. And I'm going to be making films for the rest of my life. And I guess the next best thing is being a friend of Mike, but I would not trade places with Michael Jordan.
Is it a true story that your position making those commercials was fragile, shaky, and Michael stood up for you and said, if you want me, you got to take Spike?
Well, what happened is that what I said is that Mike really cemented the deal, because he could have easily okayed any white hotshot Madison Avenue TV director, but he said, I'm going to give this young brother a shot, and I'll always be thankful to Mike for that. And it's important that we just start to hook up, despite whatever different areas we come from. We just need more unity, and I think that was a strong move on Mike's part, saying that I want this young brother to direct me, to be direct and to be in the commercials with me.
And you wanted to be in them. Was that your idea, to put?
No, it was when I did She's Gotta Have It. I did not know Michael Jordan. The Sneakers that just came out, and Mars Blackman, Michael Jordan was his hero, and Wyden and Kennedy, two individuals, Bill Davenport, Jim Riswell, who work at the agency, they saw the film and they got the idea that let's see if Mike will like to pair it with Spike Lee, and it's clicked.
It sure has. Back to Malcolm X. Norman Jewison was originally scheduled to direct that film. There was no way that Spike Lee was going to let anybody else direct a film about Malcolm X. You would have gone to any lengths to make sure.
Well, first of all, I think that 35 million African Americans would have done a lot more than I could have if they would have really gotten out that Norman Jewison was directing that film, because I don't feel that a Caucasian director could do justice to this project, to this film. And I'm not saying that only black people can direct black projects and only white directors can direct white projects, but in particular matter, specific case, it's called for. No one can tell me that The Godfather was not enhanced by Francis Ford Coppola being Italian-American. He had nuances that nobody that wasn't Italian-American have gotten. The same thing with Scorsese, with Mean Streets, Goodfellas, and Raging Bull. And I think this is along the same lines. You needed an African-American, a capable African-American director.
No matter how good Scorsese is, and he's somebody you admire.
Right.
You go to school on Scorsese, fair to say?
Yes.
He could not make Malcolm as good as Spike could make Malcolm, because he
so.
doesn't understand what Malcolm meant.
To do this film, you need to have to do research. And I spoke to hundreds of people that knew Malcolm, and no way they can open up to some white director coming around sniffing around. They're just not going to do it. Martin Scorsese could not have sit in Farrakhan's palace in Chicago and asked about Malcolm X. He's not going to do it.
What did you ask Louis Farrakhan? I've been in that palace. What did you ask him?
I asked him what was the nation's involvement in the assassination of Malcolm X. I asked him about the split between Malcolm and Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he was one of the best interviews I got.
Yeah. And what did he say about that? Because I've never heard him speak out on what he might have known about the death of Malcolm.
Well, what he did say, he did own up.
Because he, in a sense, was the successor.
Yes, what he did, he owned up to the fact that he was responsible for a lot of the climate that permitted, what happened, and that he was saying that he hoped that this film heals wounds and doesn't open it.
Yeah. Will it?
Not if the truth opens wounds. I think it should heal it.
No doubt in your mind, as you know, because you saw the broadcast I did on Hour on Malcolm, there's no doubt in your mind that Malcolm was killed by people from the Nation of Islam?
Yes, but I think that the FBI, the New York City Police, and the CIA had their hands on it too.
They knew about it or had their hands in it?
I had their hands in on it.
In what way?
Well, first of all, the Nation of Islam was under surveillance. The phones were tapped, everything. I mean, there's a new book out called Malcolm X and the FBI, which I wrote the foreword to, and it's like tens of thousands of files, documents about how, what the FBI, what they kept on Malcolm. And if they knew about the assassination, did nothing to stop it. But just knowing the type of man that J. Edgar Hoover was, the type of animal he was, and what he did to Dr. King and, you know, sending those tapes to
Mrs. King,
to Coretta.
right.
I mean, it's not far-fetched for me to think that the United States was in on the assassination of Malcolm X. You know what they did, you know, with the exploding cigars they sent to Castro. And
Malcolm wasn't the same kind of threat they didn't perceive, did they?
yeah, he was very, I mean, any black man that stands up as a threat.
What is it about Malcolm for you? What does he mean to you? And why was it important for you to write and make and produce and direct a defining film?
Well, I think Ozzie Davis said it best in the eulogy. We said Malcolm was our prince, our shining black prince, and he's a great example of black manhood. And that is something that's very lacking today, even more so now than it was 20 years ago, 20 plus years when Malcolm was alive. And Malcolm is needed more now than ever before. I think that's why he's so popular. He's never been as popular now as he was before. So I think we're just very fortunate that we were given this opportunity, you know, Denzel and myself, to do this picture.
Will it change in some way, our understanding of Malcolm by seeing this film?
Yes, especially if your only understanding of Malcolm comes from the white media. Especially if you think that if your knowledge of Malcolm, if your entire knowledge of Malcolm is that you think he's anti-Semitic, that he's anti-white, and he advocates violence. If that's all you think about Malcolm, it's definitely going to change your perception of that.
How did you change in terms of your perception of him because of all the research, all the conversations, from Louis Farrakhan to Ossie Davis to all the people that knew him, that you were trying to make sure that your vision?
Well, what those interviews did, Charlie, they really they fleshed out the character, and they made it possible for me to make him a human being in this film. We know we want to be heroic, we want him to be a human being, and I think that's what these interviews did.
Yeah. Someone said, and I can't remember who it is, and you got to help me understand this because I remember, said you were a child of Malcolm because you shared, and this is flattering to you, but that Malcolm had what his skill, maybe this was Ossie, and I think it was Ossie, in fact it was, said that what Malcolm had was not the rhetoric, not the genius, not the in-your-face, not all of that, that what he had was knowledge and information, and he understood the power of knowledge and information, and he studied, and that's what made a difference. And that is in fact what Spike has, and that's why he called you, Spike, as a child of Malcolm.
Well, I think that Ozzie was being too kind.
To you or
to me? Growing up, I mean, I don't remember the day when, in 1965, when Malcolm X was assassinated. But 3 years later...
You were 8 years old.
I know, but 3 years later, I definitely remember the day Dr. King was assassinated. I was on my stoop in Brooklyn, Warren Street in Cobble Hill. My mother was 2 blocks away. I could hear her screaming and yelling, "They killed him! They killed him! They killed Dr. King!" She was hysterical. So I was kind of too young to really be up on Malcolm. But that didn't really happen until I was in junior high school and I read the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yeah. But you end the film, not this film, but the other one.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing by saying Malcolm's way or Martin's way?
Well, I think that really got turned around. I never really wanted to present it as an either or choice. Right. I think that we get a synthesis of both and make them work. And I think that Malcolm and Martin were moving towards that themselves. They were trying to find a common platform they could work together. And of course, that was stopped when Malcolm was assassinated, and a couple of years later when they got Dr. King also.
You feel closer, though, to Malcolm.
Yes. And I think the majority of young black Americans do also.
Why?
I mean, it's an eye for an eye. If somebody hits you upside the head, you just can't get on your knees. And I mean, when I see this old civil rights footage and black folks get knocked upside the head with billy clubs and they get on their knees and pray to Jesus that this guy will stop hitting me on my head, that's amazing. And the evidence, you know, today,
Spike could never do that.
No, and the majority of young black Americans aren't going for that either.
What do you think Malcolm's message today would be in the wake of what happened in Los Angeles and some other incidents we've had around the country?
Well,
and in also
he would be disturbed about that, but even more than that, Malcolm would be disturbed by, number one, the rate that young black males are killing each other. That would kill himself. The rate that these young black women are having kids, he'd be turned over in his grave. How we're not valuing education. I mean, those are the things I think Malcolm stressed. That's what we really want young black America to get out of this film, how much importance Malcolm put in education. Because now, the kids' value system has been so turned around where, because of peer pressure, if you get straight A's in school or you speak proper English, you're called a white boy or white girl. But if you speak dems and does and you act ignorant and you fail class, then you're black and you're down with the crew. And that type of backwards thinking has to be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, and why is that? I mean, what is it about a culture that produces
it has to do with peer pressure. And I'm not a social scientist or Shelby Steele, but it has to be turned around whatever the reason is. And anytime ignorance is championed over intelligence, something is wrong. But also, let's just talk about black people have been taught to hate ourselves. We've been taught that we're self-inferior. We've been taught that we're subhuman. So for me, it's not just a big leap of faith to believe that, this would manifest itself in this type of behavior.
So if you're taught that yourself, if there's been a constant assault on your self-esteem from
400 years
from the day you were born, then the obvious result is you lash out at whatever.
Exactly. You turn it around.
You think this film somehow has a message for those kids? That education is crucial?
We even took out this, we really cut down the profanity. And we had a couple scenes where we had people snorting coke and we cut away from it because we want a PG rating for this film. We felt it was that important to get that rating, to get as many young people to see this film as possible, black and white.
Yeah. How good is Denzel?
How good is Michael Jordan?
Denzel
was... people are amazed by Denzel's resemblance to Malcolm, but that's just half of it. When you see his performance, Denzel is Malcolm from the inside out. From the inside out. It was spooky directing him. We were shaking our heads all the time because it was scary. It was very scary.
And did he come to that by himself, or is that a collaboration between you and him?
No, that's Denzel. Denzel started preparing for this role a year before we began to shoot. Started running.
Reading, getting in touch.
Reading, no alcohol. Fasting. He was on a mission.
As we say in sports, he came to play.
Exactly. And he did not fumble the ball either.
No turnovers, as we saw with the Trailblazers. I said
intelligent basketball.
I said to somebody as they began to eat, as the Bulls came back, I said, if this game is within 3 points and 5 minutes to go, Michael will own that court. I mean, it was obvious what was going to happen.
I think it was obvious that Portland was going to crack.
Yeah, why? Is that bad coaching or what?
Adelman.
Rick, out of here.
Out of here.
I just want to give we have a clip here. This is a trailer from Malcolm X. Okay. Spike Lee's film Malcolm X opens in
November 20th.
November 20th is much awaited. We'll talk more about it, and plus we'll talk about her career in film for Spike Lee. But roll tape, take a look at this first clip I've seen. Wow. How do you feel when you rap on a film like this?
Well, we really had two raps. We started the shoot in September, and we went up to the Christmas holidays. We broke for the holidays and went to Africa to finish.
This is the place when you went for it cost you $1 million or something?
Well, it didn't cost that much, but we finished. First we went to Egypt,
right,
and then we went to South Africa. We finished in Soweto. But it's relief when you finish any film because people don't realize this is very physical. and you could just stay in bed for a month after you finish a film. But this film was even more so.
Is it finished for you? I mean, you've done everything. I mean,
no, it's not finished because right now we're editing. Yeah. We're doing the sound editing now, and next week we start the score. Terrence Blanchard is doing the score. Then we're going to do the sound mixing for 12 weeks. And I won't be, I mean, even after we had the print, I still going to have to do publicity for the film. And then the movie's going to open in Europe and the rest of the world in February. So I go around the world to promote the film.
Premiered where?
He will be here. The premiere will be here in New York in November.
Yeah. Did you run out of money?
Yeah, we ran out of money.
You know, Warner Brothers and who said we'll give you what, 20 million?
Warner Brothers put in $20 million. They sold the foreign rights to a company named Largo for 8. So the budget was 33, and we went $5 million over budget, and that's when the Bond company came in and took over the financial control of the film. And they wanted to rush us through the post-production period because...
To save money.
To save money. So they wanted me to have a cut like 6 weeks after we wrapped in... maybe 8 weeks after we wrapped in Soweto, which is crazy. So on March 27th, they sent certified letters to my production staff and all the editors that this service would no longer be needed, and they wanted to shut down production. And I got paid $3 million for this film, and I put $2 million of it into the movie. So I was tapped out myself. So I got on the phone in order to keep going and have the financial independence I needed to make the film I wanted to make and not be under the thumbs of Warner Brothers or the Bond company. I got on the phone and called Bill Cosby, Michael Jordan, Prince, Magic Johnson, Tracy Chapman.
Michael Jackson?
No, Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson, right.
A woman in D.C.
And they came up with the money?
Yes.
How much? $5 million?
I really can't say.
Okay, but they came up with the money to now enable you to finish the movie the way you wanted to finish it.
What happened was the Bond company was pressuring Warner Brothers to absorb some of the $5 million hit, and we got caught between, and the Bond company said, well, until this thing is worked out with Warner Brothers, we're not paying you another cent. And it took 2 months for that to get resolved, so I needed money to keep me going for this 2-month period, and that's where all these prominent African Americans wrote these checks. It was not a loan, and it was not a contribution. These were gifts to keep the film going. It was not an investment.
A gift.
A gift.
And now, I mean, do you feel that the
Bill Cosby also. I don't want to.
Bill Cosby. I think you said him. Okay. But and they did it out of they want to see this film made. They want to give you a chance as a creator.
No, they did out their love of Malcolm, and I think they realized how important this film is to African Americans.
Do you think that Warner Brothers was... What do you think about Warner Brothers? Rather than giving you options, tell me about the fact that they didn't... So you went $5 million over budget. It's not the first time a film's been over budget.
Of course not. The reality is that there's two different standards, one black and one white, and we have to leave Eddie. I always say this, right, with no offense to Eddie, but Eddie is not considered black per se as Hollywood is concerned, the same way the music industry does not consider Michael Jackson black because they make too much money, so they say they're not black, they're universal. But Spike Lee and Denzel are not in the categories as whoever, and so
you're black.
We're black.
And therefore they say what? There's a more limited audience to your product than it is for Eddie Murphy and Michael Jackson.
Because we're black, we don't have a broad appeal, so therefore they don't want to be exposed as much financially as they would for JFK and Oliver Stone, so we're not going to give you $20 million. But for me, that's BS, because I know Dan Aykroyd doesn't have a better track record of me directing, and his first film he ever directed was a film called Nothing But Trouble, and he got $45 million for that, and it made a nickel.
Have you ever made a film that didn't make money?
Never.
Yeah. Spike Lee is here. When we come back, we'll talk more. Stay with us. Back in a moment. He'll be here for an hour, and we'll explore a lot of things about his movies and about his life when we continue. We're back with Spike Lee. I had to correct you, so I'll take credit for it.
There was a great omission. Oprah.
I'm sorry, I meant to include you.
I got a lot of things in my mind, Oprah, so please forgive me.
Because she was there, top right at the beginning with Cos and
She was call number 2.
Is that right?
And I got her check the next
first
day.
call was to
Cosby.
And he said, what do you need, Spike? That's it?
I got his check the same day.
Yeah, because he's here in New York.
No, I was in L.A. when I made the call.
And then Oprah said, whatever you need, brother, go to it.
That's right. They all came through.
Malcolm means something special to you because there is this thing about you, and I assume and it's what you've been talking about, this assertion of manhood, this sense of dignity. It is, help me.
Go on, you were doing good.
But everything about you, everything I read, everything I know about you, it is Spike Lee stands up and proudly says, you will accept me for what I am, a proud black man.
I don't know if it's all that, but I've just...
So if you give me enough rope, I'll hang myself.
I just think that in the past there have been too many black men who did not stand up or kowtow because they had a mortgage to pay or a car note, or they didn't want to lose their gig. But, sometimes you got to, say stuff. And we just had too many Toms in our history.
Boy, that'd be the worst thing they could say to you, wouldn't it?
One of the worst.
Anybody ever said anything like that, Dean?
Yeah, but, it didn't come from anybody important, no.
Take me back, born in 1957.
In Atlanta, Georgia.
In Atlanta, Georgia. Came to New York.
Brooklyn, New York.
1950, what?
59.
Yeah.
Crown Heights.
Yeah. Dodgers.
Union Street. Yeah. Dodgers had left.
They had just left, right?
Right.
Yeah. Dad was a musician.
Jazz musician.
Mother was a teacher.
She wasn't teaching then. She was just being a housewife.
Yeah. You were the oldest.
Yes.
4 other brothers?
5.
5 brothers in all. 1 sister?
No, 4 brothers, 1 sister.
Yeah, and 1 sister.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you have said, I want all boys.
5 boys.
5 boys. You don't want any girls?
Headaches.
Come on, is it? Or you just want to bring out more young black men?
No, I like to have 5 sons.
You don't want any daughters?
I'm not going to throw them in the river.
You're so... you know what? You will never...
Like they do in some other cultures, but...
So you grew up in Brooklyn, the oldest, your father, How old were you when your mother died?
20. I was a sophomore at Morehouse College.
Tough time for you?
Yeah, it really affected my youngest brother, Sankey, the most, because he was... I'd been away.
Yeah. Close to your father growing up?
Yeah, we were all a close-knit family.
Still are?
Not really. We all live within the same neighborhood, so it might be like...
Yeah.
It kills my grandmother. I talked to my grandmother.
This is Mama?
Yeah.
This is your mother's mother?
Right. She says, did you know such and such is in Europe? I said, what happened? He didn't tell you. You didn't know your brother's in Europe? I said, no. I said, Lord, 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 I don't know what I'm going to do about my grandchildren. It just worries me to death.
She calls you Spiky.
Yes.
It's not Spike, it's Spiky.
Spiky.
Your mother named you Spike.
Yeah, she said I was a tough infant.
Were you? You mean you were tough in the womb, or you just were tough growing up as a kid?
I never found out the specifics, but the nickname has always stuck. I was named Shelton. My given name was Shelton Jackson Lee.
Know anybody calls you Shelton?
First couple of years in school, elementary school, I was called Shelton.
Yeah. Went to Morehouse College.
In Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah. There is
third generation Morehouse.
Morehouse, yeah.
Right.
Boy, you really got insulted at the New York Times and wrote Max Frankel put a little message on his answer machine once at the New York Times because they suggested
that I cursed up a blue streak.
Yeah. What did you tell him?
They just do some fact checking. How are they going to say that?
Insulted you because they said you weren't a college graduate.
They said that a lot of the faculty and students at Harvard are questioning why a person like Spike Lee is allowed to teach when he doesn't have any degrees. They only graduated from high school.
And you saw that and you said what?
I cursed up the street. And I was trying to reach the guy so he wasn't in, so I just left some choice words on his answer machine.
Just give me a flavor for it without using the words.
Well, I think it was Harper's, some magazine printed verbatim what I wrote.
It was UMOF, yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of MFers in it.
Yeah, there were a lot of MFers. Basically you said I'm insulted. Morehouse, degree from Morehouse. There is this story that you and John Wilson, who's now at MIT, right?
Right.
Right. went to see Deer Hunter, with De Niro and Christopher Walken. And
John Savage.
And John Savage. And you walk out of there, the late John Savage. You walk.
Oh,
no, John
John's
Savage's
alive.
still alive. Right? You walk out of that film, and
I hope so. I saw him Saturday night.
No, you know, I was thinking about the person that, there was another fellow that was in with one of De Niro's films, not John Savage. You're right. You walk out of that film, and you
John Casale, you're talking about.
That's right.
Dog
Casale.
Day.
That's right. With Pacino.
Right.
Right. You walk out of that film, and you say, I am going to be a filmmaker. True.
You know, John said that. I don't remember saying that. I read that. I would say, because
it sounds good.
It sounds good, but that sounds like the classic story that's been told by every single director. I did not get hit by a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
And decide I want to be a filmmaker. It was a very gradual thing.
But you saw these. You began to watch a lot of movies.
I've always seen movies since I was young, but I never knew that. I mean, when you're a young black kid, you don't know any black directors. You go to the movies, you eat all the popcorn you could eat, you drink all the Coca-Cola you could drink, and
it's close to any girls that may be there.
And you go to movies and you go home. But I never thought about people actually have careers, lives making movies until college.
At Morehouse?
At Morehouse. Yeah. I was a mass communications major, and they had some Super 8 facilities. One summer I bought a Super 8 camera that also happened to be, that was the summer of 1977, which is the summer of the blackout. And I just filmed all that summer. And I said, I like this.
Did you have any talent?
Starting out?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because you went to film school. Why'd you go to NYU Film School? By then you knew you needed some training.
I needed craft.
Right. Did you get it there?
Yeah, I got it there.
Yeah. And you made that first film about Joe's Barbershop.
Well, that was my thesis film. NYU is a 3-year program. Yeah. My first film was a 20-minute black and white film called The Answer.
Yeah.
It's about a black screenwriter who's hired to write and direct a $50 million remake of Birth of a Nation. And we had a lot of clips.
20 minutes?
20 minutes.
You used a lot of clips?
From Birth of a Nation.
Was it any good?
Yeah, it's a very funny film.
Is it funny? Did you enter in any competition?
No, but the faculty tried to kick me out of school after that. I mean, first year NYU, they decide, they usually not invite half the class back. So I just made it back by a very slim margin.
And after that, when did Joe's Barbershop, or whatever it was, come in?
That was 1982. It won the Student Academy Award.
Yeah. That was your third-year film?
My thesis film.
Right. And by then, did you think you had talent then? Did you acquired some talent?
Well, I knew I had talent when I was in film school because I saw a lot of my classmates' films and stuff the teachers were holding up as examples of what we should achieve to be. I was like, they're crazy.
Yeah. And what was the first film? It was
The Answer.
The Answer.
Then my second year film was a film called Sarah, a horrible film.
Yeah.
That is my grandmother was telling me, Spike, why don't you do a nice film with no curse and a nice, soft, sentimental film? And I listened to her. And I did what she wanted.
Did you call up and say, Mama, I never again
and that's the last one I'll ever do.
Yeah, a soft, sentimental film.
No, just do another film with somebody else.
What was the first film you had to raise $175,000 to make?
She's Got to Have It.
She's Got to Have It, And that, $175,000.
Made $8.5 million.
You can't watch it now because you look at it and it's what?
It's just painful. But for me, one of the most important things that came out of film school is my association with Ernest Dickerson.
Your cinematographer.
Yes. And Ernest, we hooked up in film school, and he shot everything back then up to Malcolm X. Now he's directing. Juice was his first film.
How crucial is he to the success of the films that you've made?
Very crucial. But now I'm there to try to shore up, because he's directing his own films now.
So next time you got to find another cinematographer.
Got to.
Yeah. Do you know what the next film's going to be?
No, I'm going to take a rest after
Malcolm.
Starting these 5 kids.
Is there an announcement here? Do you have a lady in mind?
No. That was a joke. Joke.
You know who they rumor that you're supposed to be with?
Who?
I don't know. I thought I'd get you to tell me. That was a trick question.
No, I thought you knew something.
So after the first film, and people said, wow. I mean, every studio, I can imagine this. Every studio head wants to meet you, right? Call you, who is this guy? Yeah.
I
Same
mean,
thing
they
happened to
have to.
Soderbergh. I mean, all of a sudden you're getting on,
I mean,
on your phone message all these people.
They're interested in money.
Right.
And when they see a film that costs $175,000 makes $8.5 million, they want to be in business with that person.
That's a partner, isn't it? That's the kind of partner you want to have.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what they would call a partner.
They don't view it as a partner.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So the next film is what?
School Days.
School Days.
Which is like my 4 years at Morehouse. After that, Do the Right Thing.
Right.
Then Mo Better, Jungle Fever, and now Malcolm X.
Yeah. Is when you look back, Malcolm X is clearly the best thing you've done.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's just at another level. It's, as Michael would say, in a different zone for you. And will make a lot of money. You think it'll be a commercial success?
Be my biggest film commercially.
Yeah. But you think it'll be a big commercial success?
Huge.
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 100 million?
I think we go over 100.
You do, really?
Domestically.
Domestically. And then when you go to Europe, this could make you a rich man too, couldn't it? A richer man.
Well, I'm at least trying to get my $2 million back to put it out of my salary. At least get that back.
And pay back cars and Oprah and.
Nah, those were gifts.
Yeah, but you're gonna pay them back, aren't you? And they came at the right time to save this film. And the only thing, if this is a huge success, you want to do the right thing, don't you?
Let me get my $2 million back.
Oh, you want to get yours back first?
Yes.
That's what they say about you. So then, let me just go back to, so then, is School Days your favorite? What's your favorite of all those before Malcolm?
Jungle Fever.
It is Jungle Fever, yeah. And that's not a film about interracial marriage, it's a film about the environment of race relations.
I think that it was, the hook to sell the film, to promote the film, was an interracial thing, but for me personally, what was more important was the disintegration of the black family. That's what that film was about.
Here's what's interesting. It's about the disintegration of the black family?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is what L.A. is about, and which a lot of what the problems we're having now is about, is it not?
Well, I mean, you can't leave out racism.
Yeah, I'm not leaving it out.
Okay.
Racism has to do with the disintegration of the family, but
yeah,
disintegration...
But let's not, wait, I'm not on that. Don't try to get me in with Mr. Quayle over here.
No, I'm not talking about Quayle, but but you'd speak to that. I mean, you'd speak candidly to what concerns you most. You've said here earlier is what's happening to family. I mean, you mentioned teenage pregnancy and what Malcolm would be saying about that.
Yeah,
that's a family issue.
I know, but the way I say it is not the same way that Mr. Quayle is saying it.
Well, don't let him preempt. You don't want him to co-opt the language, though. You say it the way you want to, and if he's, right?
I just don't want to be thrown with that conservative Republican, blame the victim type of thing.
Yeah. If, in fact, I mean, back to Jungle Fever and the making of, did you interview women, a lot of them, about sexuality because you
That was She's Gotta Have It.
Oh, that was She's Gotta Have It.
Right, we had like
what did you do? Because it just struck me one more time, as Spike, it's not unlike interviewing people about Malcolm. You're interviewing people because She's Gotta Have It. This is the first film, the first big film.
She's Gotta Have It, the lead character, Nola Darling, is a young woman who's she's exploring her sexuality. And, I had to ask women, about that stuff, so film could at least try to be realistic as possible. So, I think I interviewed 40 women.
Did you learn anything?
Yeah, I learned a whole lot of stuff. I still got the tapes, too.
You do?
Yeah.
This is like Sex, Lies, and Videotape. You know that.
Yeah, but we did this in '84, though.
Yeah, okay. One of the things do you think you understand women, and you think women in your film are
Well, that's the biggest, bomb that's been lobbed at me.
I know it is. That's why I want you to speak to it.
That I do not respect women, that my women characters are weak, and I don't really think that that's a justified charge. I think that filmmakers have to do what they know about. What I've tried to do is strengthen the characters. I don't think that I go out making, in my mind, trying to make negative images of women. And I think that the women can be very pleased with how the women are portrayed in Malcolm X, especially the character Betty Shabazz, Malcolm's widow, and also Malcolm's mother, Louise Little.
How are you growing as a filmmaker?
Well, I'm growing all the time. I think one of the reasons why I continue and always hope to make films is because there's so much to learn with this thing called cinema. I mean, Kurosawa, one of the greatest filmmakers ever, he's 86, 87 years old. He still says there's things he doesn't know. So if he could say that, then there's no way I could even attempt to say that I know everything about filmmaking. And I myself see growth in my films. She's Gotta Have It, School Days, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better, Jungle Fever, Malcolm X. To me, it's, we're going up.
You mentioned
not just me, but everybody I work with. Robert Reed, who cast my films, Ernest Dickerson, who shoots them, Ruthie Carter, the costume designer. Wynn Thomas, the production designer, all of us worked together since She's Gotta Have It.
Do you feel that you have an obligation as a filmmaker to probe the black experience, and that your mission ought to be helping us understand the black experience and the significance of it?
Well, that's what I feel my role is, but that is not the role for every other black filmmaker.
No, I'm just asking about you. I'm not asking you whether you think everybody ought to follow Europe.
That is. Yeah. That's what I've been. That's my goal. That's my agenda.
For how long? I mean, if somebody comes along and wants you to do Compton Rogers, wrong guy. Somebody comes along and wants you to do a great love story that's not the part of the black experience, wrong guy.
Well, I'm not saying that, but if you look at
your mandate and your agenda.
I mean, if you look at my films are a lot more multicultural than I mean.
Well, clearly they have a broader appeal. I mean, you're not just limited to a certain audience.
No, I'm saying no, but if you compare me, the racial makeup of my films, compare that to the racial makeup of filmmakers like Woody Allen,
right,
and a lot of other people I could name. I mean, it's a lot more diverse with my films, but I mean, Woody Allen has never been asked, is he ever going to do a film that doesn't deal with, intellectual Jewish people who live on the Upper West Side. No one ever asked Fellini, are you ever going to do a film that doesn't deal with Italians? No one's ever going to ask Kurosawa, are you ever going to do a film that doesn't deal with Japanese? But I mean, I put our culture in that same thing.
But you're not insulted by the question, are you? I mean, are you?
I'm not insulted by the question.
But I mean, I'd ask Woody Allen. I mean, I asked the question though. But so
you asked Woody Allen that question. What did he say?
No, I would ask him that question though. I mean, I would ask him.
He's never been asked that question.
Well, because he never comes in and sits down to talk to me. That's one reason.
But even journalists had
access.
He's done interviews. I don't know. Woody Allen has done interviews. He's never been asked. All the movies you do in New York, how come there are no black people? How come there are no poor? I mean, there might
how
be
come
an
you
extra.
only speak to the Jewish experience in New York? Is that what you?
He's not asked that question. And I had no problems with him making the films he wants to make.
Yeah.
But my first two films, She's Gotta Have It, School Days, I was asked constantly by journalists. So you ever gonna have any white people in your films, Spike?
Yeah, white.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
And only white people ask about Mookie.
Well, let's put it in context. I do a lot of, I give a lot of talks around the nation's schools, colleges, and universities. And after I give my talk, I always open up the floor for a question and answer period. And
did Mookie do the right thing?
The question always arises from why does Mookie throw the garbage can through the window? No black person's ever asked me that question because they understand exactly why Mookie threw the garbage can through the window.
Spike Lee, back in a moment. Stay with us. Well, let me just, the notion of you in the comparison to Woody Allen, you don't like.
That's really died down. I mean...
You mean people don't ask it anymore?
They don't ask anymore because now I have a body of work. But after my one film, She's Gonna Have It, that's all I heard, but I was a black Woody Allen.
Yeah. And how'd you make you feel?
You know, I don't think it was a...
It was limiting, you thought?
Very limiting.
Yeah.
Labels are limiting. Period.
You feel strongly as a filmmaker that you have, or you tell me, about the responsibility to employ other African Americans.
Yes. This industry is basically lily white, and it's that way because of the unions. We had a furious fight with the Teamsters.
You refused to use them.
we weren't going to use Teamsters on this film, Malcolm X, unless they opened up, unless we had a black Teamster captain. They hired more minority teams. And also, they start some type of training ground. I mean, I should be shot if I do a film like Malcolm X and give $2 million to a union that doesn't employ any black people. It's crazy. I wasn't going to do that.
And what did they threaten you? What happened?
Were they going to break my kneecaps?
I don't know. I'm asking.
No, we had several meetings, but they finally, I mean, I got on Phil Donahue one day and blasted him, and so I got a call the next day, said, come on up to Long Island. We sat down, and things got worked out. But they still need to hire more black folks.
Yeah.
Local 52 also.
Why do you stay in Brooklyn?
Well, there's really no need for me to live in Hollywood, and I'm very comfortable living in Brooklyn's where I grew up. I live in Fort Greene. I just moved into my renovated brownstone. I'm going to be there the rest of my life.
And you got Spike's Joints there.
Yeah.
You got these enterprises. You are, some say, as gifted a businessman as you are a filmmaker. You think that's true?
Well, I know that's true. I am a son of a very gifted, talented jazz musician. And despite how talented my father was, he wasn't making any money because of his artistic beliefs, because you're not going to make a lot of money playing jazz unless you're Wynton Marsalis or Branford. That only happened recently.
Right.
And I did not want to be a broke artist. And I said, you know, it takes more than talent.
And what you want to do, and we got a clip here, and this is one of the artists. You created a 40...
Yeah, we have a label that's distributed through Sony, 40 Acres and a Mule Music Works.
Yeah, and roll tape, and this will explain some of it, and we'll see. This is... When you look at where you are, is it where you expected to be?
I expected to get here sooner.
Did you really?
Yeah. I graduated from film school, 82, and She's Gonna Have It didn't come out till 86. So.
That was 4 years.
Too long.
And then you made one film a year, pretty much, huh?
Yes, we've made 6 films the last 7 years. That's why I have to take a rest.
Yeah. And what are you going to do when you rest?
Probably write.
Yeah.
Do a lot of...
begin this family. These 4...
Well, I got to get married first, but write and just take a rest. My grandmother worries about me all the time. I think I'm just going to fall out.
Burn out?
Kill over with a heart attack or something.
Tell me your self-image. I mean, what do you think of yourself? How do you see yourself?
I'm really a quiet person. You know, a lot of times when I'm around people who don't know me, because I'm quiet, they think I'm being rude or trying to intimidate them. But unless I have something to say, I really don't say it. And I just sit back, listen, and observe.
And who's had the most influence on you?
My family, you know. My family, my grandmother, my mother, my father.
And among heroes, no one stands higher than Malcolm?
Willie Mays is up there.
Yeah, but were you a Giant fan?
I grew up as a Mets fan, so I hated the Yankees. You know, Mickey Mantle and them, hated them. But when
how about Elton Howard and them?
I hated them. But when the Yankees got Reggie and Willie Randolph and Chris Chambliss, I said Doc Ellis, I switched over to the Yankees.
How about Catfish Hunter?
Yeah, but I like Reggie Jackson.
You can identify with Reggie?
Yes.
Yeah. And how about filmmakers other than Scorsese?
Jim Jarmusch. Jim Jarmusch was a classmate of mine. He was 2 years ahead of me.
Yeah, he's been here.
And to know when he had success with Stranger in Paradise, when you see somebody have a big success that you know, it makes it concrete, because I'm not reading about somebody I never met. This is a guy I saw every day, walk around class with his white hair. Now he has a hit film. And I said, I could do that too.
You were born with this confidence, weren't you? I mean,
yeah.
Early on, somehow, somebody said.
Well, my parents, they've never really discouraged me. I think I always be grateful for that, because parents do so much to take the sale out of their kids. Don't be a painter. Don't be an artist. You're not going to make any money like that. Don't do this. Don't do that. They never said that. They encouraged me, patted me on the back, and said, "You can do it." And so that has paid off in the long run.
What do you say to those people that, in the wake of, to your own brothers and sisters, in the wake of Los Angeles, in the wake of where we are, what some say was a alarm bell in the night, some say was a wake up to the music America?
Wake up.
Wake up to reality of racism, wake up to
reality of what it's like to live in America. And racism permeates every fabric of our society. And, you know, people want to join hands and sing "We the World" all they want to, but that's not really...
Yeah. You said I went to the Super Bowl.
That's Walt Disney.
You went to the Super Bowl and you hated all the symbolism.
It was 2 years ago. The Giants, Buffalo.
Yeah. All of
Tampa Bay. It was like Triumph of the Will.
Almost reminded you of
that film with Lenny Riefenstahl.
Right,
it was a Nazi rally.
Yeah. Are you optimistic that we can deal with these things in America?
I would be if I had somebody I could vote for.
You don't like Clinton?
Nope.
You don't like Perot?
It's amazing. We might have somebody elected president, elected because he's not a candidate. The first person ever elected in office because he doesn't hold any positions.
Who could you vote for? Could you vote for Cuomo? Jackson?
Yeah. You know a white candidate I could vote for?
Who?
Bill Bradley.
You could vote for Bradley?
Yeah.
Good to have you here. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Sometime in November 22nd, Malcolm X, the best film
20th.
Spike has ever made, with Denzel Washington, a brilliant performance, he says. I thank you. Pleasure. We thank you, too, for sharing this time with us, and we'll see you next time.